What's up, everybody? I'm Brandon. Welcome back to Sociable Turtle, where we have conversations about creativity, mental health, and all the beauty in life and the people who shape it. So thank you for coming back this week. And this week I wanted to talk about the weight that we carry and the weight that we leave behind. There's something about this time of year that, things slow down a bit. The days feel shorter, they're quieter. It's like the world's giving you space to notice what you've been carrying. And I catch myself doing this, holding on to things long after they stop serving me. Thoughts, guilt, old stories that I know exactly how we're going to play out, just on repeat sometimes. And
sounds like another kind of luggage.
Yeah, the kind doesn't fit in an overhead bin. Every trip starts the same way. I think I might need this. I think I might need that. You're digging in your closet and you're pulling out things that you haven't used in months or maybe even years. And it's like, what are you doing? Why are you taking these things out for a 5-day trip? Just take what you usually are going to wear and use. We do the same thing in here. Like, I carry every mistake I might need to show someone later, like to prove that I've learned my lesson. And for years, that was weighing me down. Like all this guilt and shame from the mistakes and the choices ultimately that were made by me, even if it wasn't an altered state. That still is who I was at the time. That's still actions that I chose to go through with. And it's heavy. Not the kind of heavy that you see, but it sits like right behind your ribs, like.
Bro, emotional baggage fees are through the roof this season.
Right? I've been paying interest on mine for years. I took a long pause to look at myself and reflect and think, are you the person that all of these things in life have made you to be? Yes. Yes, I am. I took time to reflect after holding on to those things for so long. The guilt of letting people down, the shame of not showing up for myself, for the ones I love, for just being present in general on a daily basis. And when you let those things continually swirl around in your head, you'll spiral. You'll eventually lose it. You're going to go insane because any decent person that can recognize the consequences of their actions, it'll weigh on you. And that's not to say that you shouldn't look back towards the past. I know that the past is where we learn our lessons. When we can look back and we can see things objectively for what they were, for what they are, on all aspects of it, from all sides of the story as well. People carry pain because it sometimes feels safer than emptiness. To have lived and loved than to never have loved at all, that kind of thing. And that guilt and grief can feel like identity anchors. It can pull you down into the furthest depths of your mind, into the darkest pit of despair that, just when you thought you hit rock bottom, there may be a new rock bottom to that rock bottom. And I used to think that if I stopped carrying the guilt, I'd be letting myself off the hook. Like I hadn't learned enough from it. Like I still had to prove something, and holding on to this like, oh no, I know what I did, and I'm trying to make up for it. Like if you're constantly living your life like in this, I'm going to forever make up for all of the bad or wrongdoings that I've done, you're constantly going to be looking backwards while trying to walk forwards. And you're going to run into something for sure. You're going to run into the wall, the face of reality, and it's going to check you. And it's going to be like, so what have you learned? Because you've been using this entire time to look backwards instead of acknowledging the past, acknowledging what's behind you, and looking towards the future. Now, during those times, I wasn't fully present. And so there was a lot more of, I have to look back and reflect even harder and try to reflect and remember things that I don't even fully do. Or they're in a very biased, twisted, version of things of how I remember based upon, the condition that I was in. What I've realized, though, and it took a long time to come to that realization, is that sometimes, holding on to the pain just keeps you facing the pain. You don't actually get that full release from it. You won't find the freedom until you come to terms with whatever pain, in whatever form that it is. If it's grief, if it's self-harm, if it's self-doubt, if it's whatever it is, really. A lot of us can absolutely get bogged down, but you don't have to let that be the rest of your life. You can chart a new course. You can plot a new path that will take you further and beyond what you may have felt like you were stuck in for so long. Case in point, I could not see the end of the tunnel that didn't involve alcohol in my life. I was still very much, in love with the idea that I could eventually go back to a more refrained use of it, to a version that would just cut back heavily and only allow alcohol to be into like my social life and celebratory settings. Even having those thoughts is a form of delusion that someone like myself, with my addictive personality, with the destructive path that I know that alcohol can take me down, it's a very misguided way of thinking, and it's only going to lead you right back to doing the same kind of nonsense that you were doing before. And every single day, I have to check myself. I have to remind myself that, yes, you are an alcoholic. Yes, that one drink that you could probably get away with, maybe a couple, to here, wherever, depending on the situation is it truly worth putting everything on the line for? And you have to ask that, whatever your vice might be. Is the decision that I'm about to make truly worth the course change that's going to happen? My life is inevitably going to change for better or worse, whatever the thing is, but I'm talking in light of, if you're going to do something that might hurt not only yourself but others, you really need to consider, is this worth it? Now, I feel like that would be common sense, but when you're in a different state of mind, you're just not as aware of how you're affecting people because of your distorted perception of reality that may or may not be influenced with outside sources. It's good to take a pause and just consider those around you. You can't see what's ahead when you're always checking the rear view mirror. I felt that pressure that I had to continually replay these things because I didn't remember them properly, or I hadn't come to my own closure with it. And that took me out for years. It was a constant cycle of, well, I don't want to remember this, so I'm just going to continue drinking. Or, oh, I don't really remember that. I don't even have an emotional connection to that event. And I drank to feel something, putting myself in a situation, set the lighting, play music, it completely morphs your entire emotional, ground base. I would find myself doing that in various extreme ways where, one side to numb all the pain and one side to feel as much as I could feel, because I was that deprived or that devoid of emotion for multiple, however it was days or weeks, where I'm just I feel like life is passing me by. I'm no longer even in control of my life. I'm a backseat driver, and I want things to change and I want things to go in a different direction. But if I'm not actively making those choices, if I'm not taking those steps to ensure, hey, you're not going to end up in the same exact position tomorrow, right? It's nice to think that you won't. It's nice to believe that you have, it's nice to believe that you have a stronger mental capacity to be able to hold yourself accountable and be like, yeah, you know what? I am going to stop. That's just not how things work. Especially with the nature of addiction. It's definitely not something where it's oh, one day to the next, you're just going to stop. No, that can eventually kill you if you're not careful. So there's a proper way of doing that, and for the longest time I was not seeing it because I was too busy wrapped in my own emotional guilt, too busy wrapped up replaying events in the past. And I know that I'm one in a countless sea of people who can probably relate to that feeling of moments of, wow, I really could have done this differently, or wow, I wish that could have gone like woulda, coulda, shoulda, but at the end of the day, where are you now? That's where you have to remind yourself, is to be present, to stay present, while simultaneously being reflective, acknowledging the past for what it is, for how it affected you, but what you can take from it to build towards a better future. Because ultimately, if you're not in that moment anymore, but you have an opportunity to look back on it, you're in a very, very unique position for growth. And if you are still stuck in it and you don't see a way out of it, then you need to stop trying to do things your way. And that might sound kind of weird when we're all about being forward-based and I'm the main character of my universe and we're, like, I'm going to live my life how I live my life. No one's going to tell me otherwise. When it starts leading you into messed up situations, into general trouble, into positions where you're like, man, I really don't like where I'm at right now in this very moment. I don't want to be here any longer than I need to be. If you're getting to that point, if you're already in that point, then try it someone else's way. That's what I had to do. I had to hear 1,000 different people telling me how they did it and figure out, okay, what's going to work for me? I hear what you're saying, but it's still my life, right? It needs to work for my lifestyle, for the balance that I need to find in life. For my own sanity, I have to be able to find the thing that's going to pull me out. So picking and choosing and kind of crafting your own recovery path is very much encouraged. There's no one path to figuring out, oh, I'm going to be a better person tomorrow because I'm going to start working out every day, or I'm going to start dieting every day. Like, slow down there, cowboy. Like, let's take some small baby steps in the right direction and just little things here and there. You know what? Instead of getting Chick-fil-A today, I'm going to go and buy myself some food to cook at home, and instead of going out shopping at a very expensive retail store, you know what, maybe I'm going to try something a little on the more economical side and see if I can get a couple of shirts or whatever, It's little lifestyle changes that can ultimately save your life. It's the little things, and we kind of talked about this last week, that they'll all add up. And part of those things that all add up is being able to take the humility and knowing that your way may not be the best way. And that's okay. It's gotten you this far in life. But hey, maybe for just a second, listen. Listen to those who care about you. Listen to those who want to help you. Listen to those who only are looking to benefit your life because they know how much of a benefit and light that you bring into theirs. And so when we start to treat ourselves with that kind of respect, with that kind of love, you're going to, without realizing it, you're going to be delivering that same respect and that same level of love to everyone else in your life. Everyone that you cherish will see just how much you're treating yourself in the right way. And by default, by just being close enough to your surrounding, you'll be able to truly make a difference. There's peace that comes with lightness. And it's not because you've lost something, but because you've released something. Whether you talked about it, whether you took a second to just listen to someone else's opinion or their perspective on things. And I think that's the quiet shift happening right now. This is the kind of season that asks, what do you actually need to take with you? And these are important things to consider when you're on a pathway to bettering yourself, whether it's getting that job promotion or whether it's, losing a couple of pounds because you want to fit into a pair of jeans. It's I want to eat healthier, so I bought a bag of apples instead of the bag of chips that I normally would grab, you know? And even if you don't eat all the apples, it's like you're making the right decisions. And slowly, if you just be consistent, like consistency is key. If you're consistent in your behavior and the way that you treat yourself, you're going to find that peace. You're going to find that weight feeling a lot lighter. You're going to give yourself grace for those mistakes, for the choices you might have made that you could have made better. You'll give yourself grace because it's okay. Maybe what you did wasn't okay, but it's okay to not be perfect, to not get everything right the first time. It's okay to continually make the same mistakes because you're so stubborn and determined, and there's a party that's stuck in your head. Like, it's okay, and sometimes we don't recognize that when we're in the moment, that that's what's happening to us. But taking just that step away and just having like, okay, let's check this out real quick. Let's see what is me right now. Where am I standing at? You know, what is my current position in life, my current position in my faith, my current religion, my current position in, you know, in my job. You know, it in so many aspects. You know, just taking the time to be like, doing a check-in with who you are in all aspects of your life. You know, and I found a lot of gratitude instead of guilt when I was able to just open up and talk about these things and tell people how I was feeling, tell them that I wasn't doing so well anymore. I wasn't doing as well as I even thought I was doing. You know, finally cracking it open, being like, all right, I got a problem. It's out there. Now the people know. Now my family knows, my friends know, the world knows. And I'm at peace with that. Because I'm owning who I am. I'm recognizing even the parts of me that I would much rather forget, the parts of me that I could much do without. I embrace who I am, all the little things that have made me who I am, because to say I regret the past, to say that I regret certain decisions, like, yeah, do I wish things could, of course, I'm sure many people have those things in life where, yeah, I wish things could have gone differently. But until time travel is invented, which it hasn't yet as far as I'm aware of, I'm going to embrace that I am who I am now, where I'm at in life, and I find peace in that as well, knowing the course that I'm plotting, the course that I'm heading towards. All those things make the heaviest of baggage feel much lighter, because I know that even though it's a part of me, it's no longer weighing me down. It's no longer threatening to drown me in the ocean. It's not pulling me back into this same cyclical rhythm of just despair and agony and misery and general pain to myself and to others. My path doesn't look like that anymore. I'm not necessarily free or safe from what could be, because at any given moment, if I decide, you know what, I'm gonna go run outside and go grab a bottle and celebrate that I'm doing great things in life, that I'm feeling much better and stronger and happier, if I decide to go and get a bottle and do that, and then the next day I'm like, that was great, let's do it again. That's exactly the same slippery course that put me on this in the first place. It's the weird rationalizing, the justifying, like, oh yeah, this is fine. I can get away with this. I deserve this. Like, but do you? Do you actually? Is this serving you in a positive way in life? Will this continue to serve you once you're over your little celebratory adventure for the evening? Or in my case, it would go on for probably days. And 2 weeks from now, I'll be like, wow, I had a dream, I had a vision, I thought I was going to be consistent, and all that gone. Just because I chose the wrong priority. I prioritized being selfish, prioritized the idea of me. I got too confident in my ability that I failed to remember how deadly my vice can be. How even after however long now, however long I will be away from alcohol, even just one drink could be the end, or at least the undoing of me. You know, if I were to attempt to drink at the same level, because that's what I had in my head, is at a certain point I was drinking so much that if I attempted to even go back to that same one after being completely clean and cold turkey, I could very much, my next sip could very much end my life, and or at the very least send me to the hospital. And I don't want to do any more hospital visits. So yeah, I think remembering those really dark moments, those really scary moments, the ones that made me question everything, my entire existence as a human being, remembering how those moments felt, how they scared me, how in the middle of one of the worst binges I ever had, probably on the verge of killing myself from alcohol poisoning, I can take those moments, and that's when I'm like, it wasn't worth it. It's not worth it. If I were to do that right now, that is a conscious decision. That is a sober decision that I'm making. That is a decision that I'm actively choosing, and I know where that destructive path will lead, because there's no such thing as an innocent drink for me anymore. Not to say I have any problem with alcohol. I have no problem with people who like to drink, who like to continue to party and partake like that. This is a me thing, like this is my own personal struggle. And that's where I also have to be able to make that separation where it's like, I want to be in a social setting where friends are having a great time, or with my family and they're doing cocktails and champagne toast. Like, I want to be a part of that. And I can do that with my own, mocktail or whatever. And I still get the same exact experience. Like, before I couldn't make the separation of like, oh, we're in a social setting, got to drink. Like, that was the thing where it was like, it's a must, it's expected. It's, it's so ingrained in part of our culture. It's, and that's something that I had to come to terms with. Is like, you can't just casually have a drink with them, because that this isn't where the danger is. The danger is the minute you're by yourself again, and now you've gotten this taste, and you're gonna go back, because that's just the nature of the disease. Like, you're not gonna be able to help yourself, even when you mentally are strong enough. Like, even just a few days ago, I tell you all this now, and even just a few days ago, I was at the grocery store, and usually I don't even look twice, but there was a really weird part of me that took a longing look at the alcohol aisle. And I didn't walk down it, but it was a very heavy thought that I had to walk with for the entirety of the grocery store. And it had happened in quite some time. I'm not sure what came over me. I don't know if it was just me being, alone this week, and getting work done, taking care of things on the East Coast here. And yeah, there was just a weird part of me that was like that sneakiness, that like that creature of misfit and chaos, where I was like, ooh, I can do it. Who would know? Who would really know? Like, I could get away with this. And I'm like, you have things to create. You have research to do. You have seminars to attend. Like, I actually don't have time for this toxic habit to be back in my life. Like, I can't even allow that for even like a few hours, because it's not just a few hours. It will literally take over my life. That's scary. That's really scary. All that to say, I got what I needed from the grocery store, didn't buy any alcohol. But there was still that moment where, again, still very early on in my recovery, on the scale of recovery. And, I don't feel like I have to tiptoe around people, or I don't want people walking on glass with me. Like, I'm in such a positive mindset, yeah, that it drives me to only want to do better, to not even entertain such silly thoughts for longer than necessary, because completely ignore them would be to denying a part of who you are, denying a part of yourself. So you need to be able to allow yourself to feel certain things, express certain things, and don't be scared by the fact that, like, oh my God, I had this thought. Like, if you're someone who has harmed yourself in the past or still does, and you're like, oh yeah, I want to hurt myself, and you're not somebody who does that anymore, it's a scary thought to have. If you're someone who does overeat or used to overeat, and you're questioning your eating, like if you're ordering out somewhere and you're like, oh, that's the person who I used to be, don't be afraid of that person. If you're the person that constantly would, bag on themselves, like you were constantly downing on yourself and not giving yourself enough credit, and you have those moments of self-doubt after you've come to such a point of like you feel good about yourself, it's okay to have those thoughts.
The past doesn't vanish when you set it down.
Yeah. You can't take everything with you to your destination. Much like you can't take an oversized bag, or they'll charge you more for it. You'll inevitably begin to let things go as time passes. That's a good thing. Sometimes it's a hard lesson. Sometimes it's a very easy one. You get to choose the course of your future. You get to decide. If you allow other things in your life to become distractions, if you allow other things in your life to take your gaze off of what's the main mission, what's the prize, what's the end goal, you can't carry all that baggage with you. You have to learn how to sort it. You have to learn how to organize it. You have to learn when it's appropriate to give yourself that freedom to express if you are feeling sorrow or guilt or shame or any of the negative kind of emotions that one might get brought down from. And also make sure you're reminding yourself of the happy moments, of all the joys in life. If it's your kids waking you up extra early on the bed on a Saturday morning, if it's the ice cream truck rolling around, is that still a thing? Like when the ice cream truck guy rolls around and he's playing the song, like, and suddenly you're flashed back to as a kid running up to get a very sugary popsicle. I can't express how much that the little things in life are very important, and you got to be the first one to notice them. You got to be the first one to acknowledge that, hey, this was a good thing. This was a great point. This was a highlight. This was, if there's any Harry Potter fans, like, what is your expecto patronum? Like, what is the memory that you're going to have in your head that would bring you the most happiness to perform that spell? Like, I've been trying to log a lot of memories like that as I've made a more conscious effort to remember things, to be a present, to be a part of things. I think about like situations where I'm like, this moment brought me joy. Like, let me remind myself that even something as simple as like riding top down on the highway, which usually I hate going out for a drive, especially in the traffic out here. It's such a pain, but like on those rare occasions where you can just cruise and the wind's blowing, the sun is lightly out, but it's not too hot, and the music's blasting, like that moment right there, for however long it lasted, I was like, this was awesome. Like, that was a moment of peace and happiness for myself. Even if it was very loud, but all the music blasting and the wind rushing through, like, that was a moment of peace and tranquility and happiness. Like, in that moment, I had something for myself, and it was awesome. Going to Universal a couple weekends ago and being surrounded by family and being, running through the scare houses and doing things like that, like, being present for those while also still trying to capture the moments, like, but being present and laughing and getting scared, like, and feeling alive, that brought peace and tranquility. Like, those were all things that once upon a time might have gotten clouded or not even been possible for me to do when I was deep in my addiction. Those things I just simply wouldn't have been able to show up for mentally, physically. And I haven't spoken much about my spirituality. I'm a spiritual person, not necessarily religious, but I do believe in a higher power. I was able to reconnect with that, or at least I felt like I started the reconnecting process during my first treatment last year. And whatever your higher power is, I mean, your higher power could be your dog, your higher power could be your kids, your higher power could be, the next Marvel movie that's coming out, because that's what I got to live for, right? But it can be anything. Like, whatever your higher power is, if you are a religious person or if you're just spiritual, if you believe in the universe, the power of the universe, nature, it's all those things, whatever it is, all those things are important to creating a more whole version of yourself. Because you can physically be doing all right, you can mentally be kind of holding it together, but if you're missing like the spiritual aspect, if you're missing the piece of like the why does this matter, that's the part that I would encourage you to focus a little bit more energy and time on. Give yourself some time to really just reflect and think about, why is my life worth living for? Is it the people? Is it because I love a certain type of food and I want to eat it forever? Is it, is it just because I can't wait to get up every morning and experience a new day? Whether it's just being at home, sitting on the couch with your loved ones, watching a good movie, or it's going out, across the ocean and exploring a completely new culture and a new environment. These are the moments that we live for, that I want everyone to live for. There are things in life that can very easily bring us down, that threaten to absolutely destroy our sanity on a daily basis sometimes. But we can stay strong, and we're stronger together as a community, as a people who are okay, comfortable talking about, hey, I'm not right in the head, or hey, you know what, I wasn't as active this week, or you know what, hey, I'm feeling a little lost in life. I don't even know what to believe in, the whole nihilistic approach. And you don't have to have all the answers right now. You really don't. Wherever you are in life, the world feels different when you travel lighter. And maybe that's what this season is, this moment is inviting us to do. Slow down long enough to ask, what's still in my bag? What's still hanging out in there? What do you still got in here? Is it worth carrying over into this next chapter of life? As we get into closer to the new year, is this, when people make their New Year's resolutions, it's like, you can make that resolution starting any day. But for the sake of this, what's going to be your New Year's resolution? How are you going to go into the new year? If you do need this next couple of months to just kind of be like, okay, still going to do what I got to do, or I'm doing my thing, and then next year is the year. So be it, whenever you plan to start. But if there's a start date, what are your intentions with that start date? What are you actually going to be doing? What motivates you to make some life changes? What motivates you to get out of bed and go do things that are going to better your life? Whether it's mentally, physically, or spiritually. In any of those categories, what are you going to do that's going to help you become the best version of you? And are you being intentional with it? The past doesn't need to be carried. It needs to be honored. Past is who makes you who you are. And for better or for worse, whether you're still in it, coming out of it, maybe you've never had to deal with it, but somebody else is definitely. We're going to keep going. I want you all to keep going. We have a lot of life to live. We have a lot of great memories to share, great experiences to be a part of. There's so much in this world that still needs you to be a part of it. Without you, it'd just be an empty room. And we'd miss you. So here's to keeping going. Here's to staying strong in the face of adversity. Here's to choosing life every day. I love you all, and I hope you have a great rest of your week. And I look forward to diving deeper into more of the stories, like we've said. Let me know what you guys are interested in hearing. And I'm an open book for the most part. I want to continue to grow our community, and I want to be more forthcoming about anything that you may be curious about when it comes to mental health in general, or the nature of my addiction, maybe the nature of your addiction, maybe just the concept of healing and the concept of just living life to its fullest. So if you haven't checked out last week's video, go check it out. It's a longer dive, but Amelia and I were talking about trust in that one. And I can't wait to see you all next week. Love you all. Have a great one.